Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. This is an After Hours edition coming during Holy Week as we are between Palm Sunday and leading up to Easter Sunday. Of course, on Palm Sunday, we just finished our series on 7 the root vices as we've been spending all of the time leading up to Easter looking at the way these root vices work in our lives. I encourage you to do this. I hope the series was helpful in understanding both the vices themselves, the way they work, the way they produce other sin in our lives, and also those virtues and practices that help fight against them and put them off. But this week, as we're doing that, rather than focusing on the last one, which was lust, I want us to actually take the time to think about what's going on during Holy Week and prepare for Good Friday and Easter. During Holy Week, we remember Jesus' final week on earth, that last week as he is accomplishing and working redemption for us. This is going to lead up through the week to Good Friday. And on Good Friday, we remember why sin is so serious. The reason we've been focusing on these vices and the sins is not because we have a fixation with sin. We're really rather focused on God, but because of how destructive sin is. And we see exactly how seriously God takes sin, how destructive it is, by the fact that on Friday we will remember that Christ died for our sin. It was our sin that put him to death. Our sin caused the death of the sinless Son of God. And so this reminds us, and we focus on this week, that sin is not a mere trifle. It is destructive of our humanity. It is in fact destructive of all creation. Paul tells us in Romans 8 that all the creation is groaning under the weight and the effect of our sin. But sin not only destroys, it produces death in everything it touches. Paul again tells us in Romans 5 that death came through one man's sin, that Adam's sin produced death throughout all of creation. It reverberates everywhere, and everything that sin touches, even down to this day, it produces death. So this week, I want us to really focus on why Jesus died, to let that propel us into our fight against sin, because our sin is not a trifle. It is serious. It produces death and deformation in us, and it even brought about the death of the sinless Son of God. In doing this, I encourage you, if you're not working on things for the Easter egg hunt on Saturday, to join us on Good Friday at 7 p.m. at Cross Point Church. It's a great time where we're going to gather together to reflect on the death of Christ, what happened, what it means for us, a time for us to mourn together over our sin and what it produced as we listen to God's Word, we sing songs, the choir is going to be singing again, and then we're also going to come to the Lord's table. And if we do this, which our culture tends to not like this idea of mourning and focusing on those quote-unquote negative aspects, but if we do it, the wisdom in that is it makes our joy on Easter Sunday all the greater. So I encourage you to gather with us on Good Friday to mourn over our sin and worship God. Come together on Saturday as we reach out to the world around us, trying to serve them and invite them to come in. And on Easter Sunday, let's come together to celebrate Jesus' resurrection. For in that resurrection, he has conquered death. He has conquered our sin. He has set us free. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to gathering with everyone later on this week at these opportunities to worship and serve. God bless.